What's going on, and welcome back to another less than 10-minute gear review. And in this video we're going to be going over the Tasmanian Tiger small medic pack. Now this guy's going to run you roughly about $100 to $110. It does come in a couple of different colors, and I believe also multicam, so you do have some customization with all of that. And then one of the really cool selling points of this pack is you have a lot of different ways that you can configure it. You can run it with the shoulder strap like you see here. You can run it with a belt to where it is kind of in a fanny pack configuration, and it also has MOLLE on the back side to where you can add this onto other packs, seat back panels. You can throw it on the back of your belt if you have a gun belt, or on the back of a plate carrier. So you have a lot of different options as far as how you want to configure this and set this up for your application. I have seen a lot of guys that I've worked with in the past, medics wise and PGA wise, that have ran similar packs like this guy in a fanny pack configuration. I think that's one of the biggest selling points for this guy, as well as the MOLLE capability on the back. So with that, I'm going to go through the entire thing, kind of show you what it looks like both on the inside and the out, and then that way you can kind of determine whether this is a pack that's going to be good for you or not, and then give you some of the recommendations of the medics that I've seen run packs like this one, and then give you some recommendations based off of how I'll probably configure this in the future. So without further ado, diving right into it. Starting on the sides, both sides have 3 sections of MOLLE. It does come with the loops and the straps and D-rings and carabiners to be able to configure your shoulder strap configuration on the sides that you can see here. But you can remove all of that stuff just by simply removing this nylon strap and then MOLLEing additional pouches and other things that you may want to throw on the side of this. So you do have some customization capability with all of that. And then on the backs, or I should say on the bottom side, you do have 4 sections of MOLLE. Now with these, you do have both nylon and elastic MOLLE looping, so you can throw a lot of different things and configure a lot of things on the bottom. However, when it comes to workable MOLLE and things that you can add additional pouches and accessories to, these 2 sections are really all you have to work with. You could add 550 cord and loops and other things to these outer sections, but there's just not enough space to run actual MOLLE through them and attach other pouches. So you just really have these 2 working sections right here. It's not a deal breaker in my opinion, so you have some options. You could definitely throw another pouch on there and then use bungee cord and shock cord to help hold things nice and tight. I do know some small Skedcos or some poleless litters that you could definitely throw on the bottom of this, so that would kind of be my recommendation for the bottom. On the back side, we have the belt configuration, and the only thing that I'll say about the belt configuration, and the only issue that I have with it, is the buckle. I don't like plastic buckles, especially for anything belt related, I should say, just because I typically see these things get crushed and then they break, and then it's just kind of the end of that capability. So I would definitely recommend upgrading this to a Cobra buckle, so that way you have something that is a lot more robust and going to be able to take a beating. So that's really the only thing that I have to say con-wise as far as this thing goes. And then you can also see you have your MOLLE sections here to be able to MOLLE this into another bag. Back panel, seat panel, whatever you may want to MOLLE this onto, you do have that capability. So I do think this is a really nice feature and definitely gives you a lot of options as far as configuration goes and setup. Moving back to the front side, we do have the kind of panel that sits on the front. This thing is nice because you can definitely throw a lot of different things, especially airway items, to the front of this. So you could throw nasal pharyngeals, needle decompressions, surgical knives, and some other small little items you could fit in here. There's a lot of stuff that you can throw there. You could even throw syringes, maybe some needles for the syringes and all of that. But all that aside, you have that elastic looping here to be able to throw whatever you want in the front. That's going to be sized for that. Sharpie markers and pens is another option. And then one thing that's really cool about this section right here is it's almost like the perfect size to hold your casualty care cards. So you can throw all of your airway stuff, or a lot of the airway stuff, up front, and then stack your casualty care cards on top of that, Velcro it all back together, and then you're good to go. So that's one of the really cool features about this front panel section. It keeps things nice and organized, so that way you don't have things just yard sailing all over the place, and those quick access things that you may want to get to right away, you can fit up front here. So that is one really nice thing that I like about this guy when it comes to the configuration. And then on the top, you also have your small pocket for your trauma shears, which is really nice. I'm glad that they incorporated that and utilized every aspect of space on this entire system. Then, just so that way you guys know, you do have this dual-sided zipper and handle system. Just a little bit of, I believe it's nylon on the interior, and then your plastic kind of wrap around it, or plastic tubing that just pulls open, and then you have your Velcro that holds that flap into place. On the inside of the flap, you do have a small little mesh pocket for, you know, nitrite gloves, so you do have some space for that stuff, and then a couple of additional loops of elastic kind of MOLLE configuration stuff on that interior of that top flap. So really nice use of space when it comes to that. And then on the interior, you do have quite a bit of space to be able to throw any additional items that you may want to throw in here. When it comes to just the general configuration, you have two clear plastic pockets on either side, and then you have this divider in the middle with the same, pretty much the same amount of elastic loops on either side. So you can set this up a couple of different ways. Ways that I've seen guys set up the interior of pouches or packs similar to this, they'll break it up into, you know, 4 different sections, where this whole pack is designed to help and enhance the individual med kits that everybody is carrying. So they could throw, you know, they could quarter this off to where one quarter is, you know, an IV kit and some special equipment for, you know, a little bit more or immediate casualty care stuff that they may need, and then they can set this whole entire thing up to help aid for casualties. I've also seen this configured, or similar packs configured, to where you have it kind of bisected to where you have larger kits to deal with more serious casualties, and you have essentially 2 identical kits on either side of the divider. So you have IV stuff, maybe an IV bag depending on, you know, how big that IV bag is, your IV starters, gauze, combat gauze, Acrylex, whatever the case may be. You have all of that replicated on either side, so then you have the ability to take this one kit and enhance, you know, the capabilities of an individual med kit, and then more intensive care to follow on with that. And then kind of the exterior, thinking of a bag that I had a buddy had, he bisected it, had 2 larger kits, one on either side, and then the exterior had some pockets and other things with kind of that same organization capability. And then he ran drugs and syringes, needle decompressions, nasal pharyngeals, and some additional items to be able to enhance his ability to care 2 severely injured casualties. So you could definitely bisect this, and then there was also a third way that you could set this up to where it's really just one big casualty care kit to deal with one very seriously injured individual, or one seriously injured casualty, and utilize this to provide that immediate aid to the highest level or capability. And then there's a separate med bag that has way more equipment that you could set up and be able to deal with a very seriously injured individual. So I've definitely seen kind of configurations and bags similar to this one, all configured in those 3 different ways. It just depended on the medic, and usually this was kind of a supplementary bag to the med bag that they had, or the large med bag or M9 med bag that they had on a vehicle that had a lot more, you know, sophisticated things put inside there. I'm not a medic. I am getting ready to go through an EMT course hopefully here in the near future during 2023. So this is how I would definitely set this up in one of those 3 different configurations, just because of how it's configured. So with that, I will say this. I do have some small London Bridge blowout med kits, or individual med kits, that I have in my vehicle for just individual care that I can take, throw to a casualty in the event that I was to come across some sort of very serious situation, treat those individuals, and then this med kit would be set up to help support, you know, those 4 individual med kits, and or set this up to be able to treat, you know, two casualties or individuals that have more serious injuries, and then be able to deal with that accordingly, and then have enough to be able to just stabilize in that capacity. So just some stuff based off of, you know, combat or tactical combat casualty care courses that I've been through in the past. So that would definitely be my recommendation and how I would set this guy up. I really don't have anything else for it. It is definitely a bag that I would highly recommend. This is definitely a bag that's going to be thrown in my vehicle to be able to help treat, you know, any casualties, whatever the case may be, and definitely a med bag that I know a couple of law enforcement officers have been looking at as well. So highly recommended for anybody when it comes to that medical piece of that tactical environment. So with that, if you have any questions, please feel free, leave a comment. We'll help you out in any way that we can. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.